Hello, beloved of Yahuwah. Let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth, for your loves are better than wine. For fragrance your oils are good. Your name is oil poured forth. Therefore the maidens love you. Draw me, we run after you. The scriptures, the greatest love story ever told by far. Many texts from the Tanakh and even the Nazarene writings are symbolic of the divine love of Yahuwah for his chosen people. The love poems of the Song of Songs that we just read a passage from, and the latter prophet Hosea have many references to an intimate spousal relationship between Yahuwah and his chosen people, Yisrael. The main theme of bridal love is centered in scriptures from the dramatic marriage of Hosea to a prostitute who represents Yahuwah's people, to the Song of Songs, to the many spiritual parables of courtship between Yahuwah and Yisrael, to the love chapter written in 1 Corinthians 15. Yes, Scripture is truly about love, 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 and more love. It is a story about a husband who is pursuing and then marrying his bride. His bride turns into a runaway bride and goes a whoring. But the husband remains steadfast in his love for his bride. And he is calling and searching for his runaway bride throughout the entire scriptures. Let's examine the scriptures in this love story. It all begins in creation. We're going to let's move beyond that up to the Exodus, and where we'll pick up where the husband actually betroths the bride and then marries the bride. And so that all begins in Exodus chapter 19, and we'll pick it up right there. Verse 5. And now, if you diligently obey my voice and shall guard my covenant, then you shall be my treasured possession above all the peoples, for all the earth is mine. And you shall be to me a reign of priests and a set-apart nation. Those are the words which you are to speak to the children of Yisrael. And Moses came and called for the elders of the people, and set before them all these words which Yahuwah commanded him. And all the people answered together and said, all that Yahuwah has spoken we shall do. So Moses brought back the words of the people to Yahuwah. And Yahuwah said to Moses, see, I am coming to you in a thick cloud, so that the people hear when I speak with you and believe you forever. And Moses reported the words of the people to Yahuwah. And Yahuwah said to Moses, go to the people and set them apart today and tomorrow. And they shall wash their garments and shall be prepared by the third day. For on the third day Yahuwah shall come down upon Mount Sinai before the eyes of all the people. And you shall make a border for the people all around, saying, take heed to yourselves that you do not go up to the mountain or touch the border of it. Whoever touches the mountain shall certainly be put to death. Not a hand is to touch it, but he shall certainly be stoned or shot with an arrow, whether man or beast. He shall not live when the trumpet sounds long. Let them come near the mountain. And Moses came down from the mountain to the people and set the people apart, and they washed their garments. And he said to the people, be prepared by the third day. Do not come near a woman. And it came to be on the third day in the morning that there were thunders and lightnings and a thick cloud on the mountain. And the sound of the ram's horn was very loud, and all the people who were in the camp trembled. And Moses brought the people out of the camp to meet with all. And they stood at the foot of the mountain, and Mount Sinai was in smoke, all of it, because Yahuwah descended upon it in fire. And its smoke went up like the smoke of a furnace, and all the mountain trembled exceedingly. Getting the big picture? And when the blast of the ram's horn sounded long and became louder and louder, Moses spoke, and Yahuwah answered him by voice. And Yahuwah came down upon Mount Sinai on the top of the mountain, and Yahuwah called Moses to the top of the mountain, and Moses went up, and Yahuwah said to Moses, go down and warn the people, lest they should break through to Yahuwah to see, and many of them fall. And let the priests who come near Yahuwah set themselves apart too, lest Yahuwah break out against them. And Moses said to Yahuwah, the people are not able to come up to Mount Sinai, for you warned us, saying, make a border around the mountain and set it apart. And Yahuwah said to him, come, go down and then come up, you and Aaron with you. But do not let the priests and the people break through to come up to Yahuwah, lest he breaks out against them. And Moses went down to the people and spoke to them. Okay, so here we see that there was a preparation day 3 days prior, which involved washing the clothes, consecration, by washing themselves, keeping themselves cleaned up, not having sexual relationships with a woman, this type of thing. And so if you really kind of think about that part of it, we get a little bit of insight, don't we? Where when men and the women too are told to prepare themselves for this set apart encounter with Yahuwah, and that is to be sanctified or consecrated, prior to the marriage ceremony, if you will, or taking the vows. And so throughout Scripture, we can read about people preparing themselves for encounters with Yahuwah, and some of the different ways that we do read about for this is and we may want to do this ourselves in our own daily life when we prepare to, petition Yahuwah for things that perhaps we need, or we need to speak with Him on a one-to-one basis for something that's going on in our lives, or something we need, or for intercession. But some of the examples we are given, and if we use all these examples together, it may be a powerful tool in our relationship with our husband. So take off one's shoes seems to be something that has some kind of importance to it, because Moses was told to take off his shoes in Exodus 3:5, and Joshua was told to take off his shoes too in Joshua 5:15. Seems to be some kind of significance there. So take off one's shoes, wash your clothes and your body, abstain from food by fasting, abstain from sexual relations, offer sacrifices for atonement for sin, and this would be in our time period would be prayer without ceasing, confess one's sins, act justly and keep the moral laws. So in other words, don't sin anymore. Keep Yom Shabbat and keep all the other rules of ritual purity and perfection. Okay, and so once we do all these for 3 days, then we can obviously come before Yahuwah with confidence that He's going to hear our prayer and petitions, right? So, anyways, after Yahuwah made it clear that He was wanting to, going to enter into a covenant of sorts, a marriage covenant with His chosen people at Sinai, then Moses revealed that to the children of Israel, and at that point they were given the vows. So the steps that involved the making of the marriage covenant at Sinai were that when they were told that He wanted to have a marriage covenant with them, that they accepted it and pledged that they would do all that Yahuwah has said before they even heard the vows. So they said, and said, all that Yahuwah has spoken we shall do. So Moses brought back the words of the people to Yahuwah, that they agreed to go into a covenant, in this case a marriage covenant, with Him. Okay? So basically, Israel, the children of Israel arrived at Sinai, and they set up an encampment here in what we just read in chapter 19, verses 1 and 2, which we didn't read, but Said that in the third month after the children of Israel had come out of the land of Egypt, on this day, it'll be the third month, on this day they came to the wilderness of Sinai, for they set out from Rephidim and had come to the wilderness of Sinai and camped in the wilderness. So Israel camped there before the mountain. So Israel arrives at Sinai and encamps. Yahuwah announces his intention to enter a blood marriage covenant with Israel, and all the people, or the children of Israel, agreed. Preparations prior to the third day were required. And so there was washing of the bodies, washing the clothes, the consecration acts, no sexual relationships, and so forth. There was to be an assembly of all the people before Mount Sinai on the third day, but they were not to go inside of the boundary, across the boundary that was drawn around the mountain. And then that brings us into chapter 20, which we'll find just the proclamation of the 10 words, which is known as the 10 Commandments, and the giving of the marriage vows. But the children of Israel had already agreed to before they even heard it. And then after the proclamation of the 10 words, Yahusha goes further and gives more laws and stipulations that surround or are attached to the covenant. And that's in chapter 20, verses 18 through 23. Chapter 20 and 18 through 23. Or chapter 23, verse 19, and then the promise of the land through the land covenant with Abraham. It's in chapter 23. And then in chapter 24 of Exodus, we go into the reading of the book of the covenant and the sprinkling with the blood in order to seal the deal, basically. So just pick back up in chapter 20 on the vows. So the wedding vows. And Yahuwah spoke all these words, saying, I am Yahuwah your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. You have no other mighty ones against my face. You do not make for yourself a carved image or any likeness of that which is in the Shemayim above, or which is in the Arets beneath, or which is in the Mayim under the Arets. You do not bow down to them nor serve them, for I, Yahuwah, your all, am a jealous all, visiting the crookedness of the fathers on the children to the third and fourth generations of those who hate me, but showing kindness to thousands to those who love me and guard my commands. You do not cast the name of Yahuwah your Elohim to ruin, for Yahuwah does not leave the one unpunished who cast his name to ruin. Remember Yom Shabbat, to set it apart. 6 days you labor and shall do all your work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of Yahuwah your Elohim. You do not do any work, you nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your male servant, nor your female servant, nor your cattle, nor your stranger who is within your gates. For in 6 days Yahuwah made the Shemayim and the earth and sea and all that is in them, and rested the seventh day. Therefore Yahuwah blessed the Yom Shabbat and set it apart. Respect your father and your mother, so that your days are prolonged upon the soil which Yahuwah your all is giving you. You do not murder. You do not break wedlock. You do not steal. You do not bear false witness against your neighbor. You do not covet your neighbor's house. You do not covet your neighbor's asha, nor his male servant, nor his female servant, nor his ox, nor his donkey, or whatever belongs to your neighbor. And all the people saw the thunders, the light, and the lightning flashes, the sound of the ram's horn, and the mountain smoking. And the people saw it, and they trembled and stood at a distance, and said to Moses, You speak with us, and we hear, but let not Yahuwah speak with us, lest we die. And Moses said to the people, Do not fear, for Yahuwah has come to prove you, and in order that his fear be before you, so that you do not sin. So the people stood at a distance, but Moses drew near the thick darkness where Yahuwah was. And Yahuwah said to Moses, Say this to the children of Israel. You yourselves have seen that I have spoken to you from the Shemayim. You do not make besides me mighty ones of silver, and you do not make mighty ones of gold for yourselves. Make an altar of the earth for me, and you shall slaughter on it your burnt offerings, and your peace offerings, your sheep and your cattle. In every place where I cause my name to be remembered, I shall come to you and bless you. If you make me an altar of stone, do not build it of cut stone, for if you use your chisel on it, you have profaned it. Nor do you go up by the steps to my altar, lest your nakedness be exposed on it. Isn't that interesting? If you chisel it, it's profaned. It becomes an idol. You start to form it, right? So there now they have received the 10 words, their marriage vows, and they have become married to Yahuwah. They're not his bride. And so we go over to chapter 24, and it says, And to Moses he said, Come up to Yahuwah, you and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel. 70 of the elders. And you shall bow yourselves from a distance. But Moses shall draw near to Yahuwah by himself, and let them not draw near, nor let the people go up with him. And Moses came and related to the people all the words of Yahuwah, and all the right rulings, and all the people answered with one voice and said, All the words which Yahuwah has spoken, we shall do. And Moses wrote down all the words of Yahuwah, and rose up early in the morning, and built an altar at the foot of the mountain, and 12 standing columns for the 12 tribes of Israel. And he sent young men of the children of Israel, and they offered burnt offerings and slaughtered peace slaughterings of bulls to Yahuwah. And Moses took half the blood and put it in basins, and half the blood he sprinkled on the altar. And he took the book of the covenant and read in the hearing of the people. And they said, All that Yahuwah has spoken, we shall do and obey. And Moses took the blood and sprinkled it on the people, and said, See, the blood of the covenant which Yahuwah has made with you concerning all these words. And Moses went up also, Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel. Now, here we go. They were betrothed. now they're going into the marriage ceremony. I mean, they sealed the covenant with the blood. Okay, sealed the deal, so they're married to Yahuwah. Now comes the significance of the wedding feast. Okay, and they saw, they went up and they saw Yahuwah of Israel, and under his feet like a paved work of sapphire stone, and like the Shemayim for brightness. Now, it says that they saw Yahuwah. Okay, Moses, Aaron's 2 sons, and 70 of the elders of Israel. Did they actually see Yahuwah on it when it says this? No. What they saw was a manifestation of Yahuwah, like everybody else that ever saw Yahuwah did. Okay, they didn't actually ever see him, because we know that no one has ever seen Yahuwah. You can reference that in John 1:18 and John 6:46. No one's ever seen Yahuwah, but they did see a manifestation. Doesn't really say what it was. We know that Moses saw Yahuwah as a burning bush, right? And there were many other manifestations. Okay, so yeah, they saw him, and they saw Yahuwah of Israel, and under his feet like a paved work of sapphire stone, and like the Shemayim for brightness. So this was no doubt, could have been that they saw Yahusha. And he did not stretch out his hand against the chiefs of the children of Israel. And they saw Yahuwah, and they ate and they drank. So they celebrated the wedding feast, okay? And Yahuwah said to Moses, "Come up to me on the mountain and be there, while I give you tablets of stone, and the Torah and the command which I have written to teach them." So here we go. There it is, man. He gave them gave them his proposal, that he was desiring to enter a marriage covenant with them. They agreed. Before they even heard anything, he gave them the vows to agree upon, and then he added to that, and then they agreed upon that after Moses read it all to them, and then they sealed the deal with sprinkling of the blood, and then they ate and drank with the husband and celebrated the marriage, and they are now, Israel is now Yahuwah's bride. Okay, powerful stuff. So if we jump over here to Jeremiah 3, verse 6, we read, "Have you seen what backsliding Israel has done?" Uh-oh. The bride's done went a-whoring, running around on her husband. "She has gone up on every high mountain and under every green tree, and there committed whoring. And after she had done all these, I said, 'Return to me.' But she did not return. And her treacherous sister Yehudah saw it. And I saw that for all the causes for which backsliding Israel had broken wedlock," see that? Broken wedlock, "I had put her away and given her a certificate of divorce. Yet her treacherous sister Yehudah did not fear, but went and committed whoring too. And it came to be through her frivolous whoring that she defiled the land and broken wedlock with stones and wood." So they're out doing their idolatry with wood and stone. They're whoring around with other mighty ones that are made of stones and wood. They broke wedlock with the one living Yahuwah. Sad set of affairs, isn't it? And yet, for all this, her treacherous sister Yehuda has not turned to me with all her heart, but falsely, declares Yahuwah. So they're pretending like they're loving him and honoring him and obeying him and stuff, but really they're not. They're doing it falsely. They're sneaking around behind his back and performing adultery with idols. That's what's going on here now. And Yahuwah said to me, backsliding Israel has shown herself more righteous than treacherous Yehuda. Because she's betraying him by sneaking around behind his back. Go and proclaim these words toward the north and say, return, O backsliding Israel, declares Yahuwah. I shall not look on you in displeasure, for I am kind, declares Yahuwah. And I do not bear a grudge forever. Only acknowledge your crookedness, because you have transgressed against Yahuwah, your all, and have scattered your ways to strangers under every green tree, and you have not obeyed my voice, declares Yahuwah. Return, O backsliding children, declares Yahuwah, for I shall rule over you, and shall take you, one from a city and two from a clan, and shall bring you to Zion. And I shall give you shepherds according to my heart, and they shall feed you with knowledge and understanding. And it shall be when you have increased and shall bear fruit in the land in those days, declares Yahuwah, that they no longer say, the ark of the covenant of Yahuwah, neither would it come to heart, nor would they remember it, nor would they visit it, nor would it be made again. All right. So he's calling his whoring wife back home, straighten herself up. Okay, so here we find out there's been a divorce, and now he's trying to reconcile, call his wife back home, and it's just a big mess, isn't it? Painting place going on here now. So we jump over here to Jeremiah 31. We read, Yahuwah appeared to me from afar, saying, I have loved you with an everlasting love. Wow. Therefore I shall draw you with kindness. I am going to build you up again, and you shall be rebuilt, O maiden of Israel. And again you shall take up your tambourines and shall go forth in the dances of those who rejoice. Again, you shall plant vines on the mountains of Samaria, and the planters shall plant and treat them as common, for there shall be a day when the Nazarene cry on Mount Ephraim, arise and let us go up to Zion, to Yahuwah our Elohim. For thus said Yahuwah, sing with gladness for Jacob and shout among the chief of the nations. Cry out, give praise and say, O Yahuwah, deliver your people, the remnant of Israel. See, I am bringing them from the land of the north and shall gather them from the ends of the earth. Among them the blind and the lame, those with child and those in labor, together a great assembly. Returning here, with weeping they shall come, and with their prayers I bring them. I shall make them walk by rivers of waters, in a straight way in which they do not stumble. For I shall be a father to Israel and Ephraim. He is my firstborn. Hear the word of Yahuwah, O Gentiles, and declare it is the isles afar off, and say, He who scattered Israel gathers him, and shall guard him as a shepherd his flock. For Yahuwah shall ransom Jacob and redeem him from the land of one stronger than he. Is Abraham a precious son to me, a child of delights? For though I spoke against him, I still remember him. That is why my affections were deeply moved for him. I have great compassion for him, declares Yahuwah. Set up signposts, make landmarks, set your heart toward the highway. The way in which you went, turn back, O maiden of Israel, turn back to the city of yours. Till when would you turn here and there, O backsliding daughter? For Yahuwah has created what is new on earth, and Asha encompasses a man. In those days, they shall no longer say the fathers ate sour grapes and the children's teeth are blunted, but each one shall die for his own crookedness. Whoever eats sour grapes, his teeth shall be blunted. That means you're going to be responsible for your own actions. No longer you have to suffer for the actions of your fathers. See, the days are coming, says Yahuwah, when I shall make a renewed covenant. So here he goes. Now all of a sudden he's announcing that the days are coming when I'm going to remarry you. A renewed covenant. We're going to get remarried. Okay? When I shall make a renewed covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Yehudah. So not like the covenant I made with her fathers in the day when I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, my covenant which they broke, though I was a husband to them, declares Yahuwah. See? So he took his maiden from the hand, rescued her, and brought her out of the pig pen, okay, by her hand, and led her out of there, and with him took her away, married her, and she went whoring, and so he divorced her. But now he's announcing he's going to remarry her. He's going to find her, he's going to clean her up and remarry her. But it's not going to be under the same conditions or covenant as it was with the fathers, okay? On his first marriage, it's going to be different now. It's going to be a renewed covenant under new conditions. For this is the covenant I shall make with the house of Israel after those days, declares Yahuwah. I shall put my Torah in their inward parts and write it on their hearts, and I shall be their all, and they shall be my people. And no longer shall they teach each one his neighbor and each one of his brothers, saying, Know Yahuwah. For they all shall know me, from the least of them to the greatest of them, declares Yahuwah. For I shall forgive their crookedness and remember their sin no more. Ooh, hallelujah for that, huh? All right, so if we go over here to Jeremiah 32, start up here in verse 33. It says, And they have turned their back to me and not their face. Though I taught them, rising up early and teaching them, they did not listen to receive teaching. And they set their abominations in the house which is called by my name, to defile it. And they built the high places of Baal, which are in the valley of the son of Hinnom, to offer up their sons and their daughters to Molech, which I did not command them, nor did it come into my heart that they should do this abomination, to make Yehudah sin. Wow. So they were going nuts, sacrificing their children to Molech in his house. That's crazy, man. Crazy. He said that didn't even come into his heart that they would do such an abomination. That's something. Even Yahuwah didn't believe in his heart that they would do such a thing, but yet they did. That's mind-blowing right there. That's mind-blowing. And now, thus said Yahuwah, the all of Israel, concerning this city of which you said it shall be given into the hand of the sovereign of Babel by the sword, and by scarcity of food, and by pestilence. See, I am gathering them out of all the lands where I have driven them in my displeasure, and in my wrath, and in great rage. And I shall bring them back to this place, and shall let them dwell in safety, and they shall be my people, and I shall be their mighty awe. And I shall give them one heart and one way to fear me all the days, for the good of them and of their children after them. And I shall make an everlasting covenant with them, that I do not turn back from doing good to them. And I shall put my fear in their hearts so as not to turn aside from me. And I shall rejoice over them to do good to them, and shall plant them in this land in truth, in all my heart and with all my being. For thus says Yahuwah, as I have brought all this great evil on these people, so I am bringing on them all the good that I am speaking to them. What a love story. What a love story. Well, he really loves his bride, don't he? She keeps on whoring and doing abominational things, and he keeps bringing her back, calling her home, bringing her back. Crazy, man. Perhaps one of the greatest examples of how maybe Yahuwah feels and what's going on between the marriage of Yahuwah and his bride Yisrael, perhaps is expressed in the book Hushaah or Hosea, better known as Hosea. If you've never read Hosea, read it. It's mind-blowing, okay? We'll read some over here real quick. This is such a powerful lesson. It really is. Let's go to chapter 1. We'll start at verse 2. The beginning of the word of Yahuwah with Hosea. And Yahuwah said to Hosea, go, take yourself a woman of whoring. You tell him to go marry a prostitute. Okay? And this it relates to Israel. Okay? He sees Israel as a prostitute, out whoring around with other, mighty ones. And she is. See? Committing adultery with idols. And so, he says, go take yourself a woman of whoring and children of whoring, for the land has utterly whored away from Yahuwah. Wow, pitiful, isn't it? So he went and took Gomer. Hosea went and took Gomer, who was the daughter of Diblaim, and she conceived and bore him a son. And Yahuwah said to him, call his name Yisrael. He's real, Yisrael. For in a little while I shall revenge the blood of Yisrael on the house of Yahuwah, and put an end to the reign of the house of Yisrael. And it shall be in that day that I shall break the bow of Yisrael in the valley of Yisrael. And she conceived again and bore a daughter. And he said to him, call her name Lo Rukamah, for no longer do I have compassion on the house of Yisrael, so as to forgive them at all. But I shall have compassion on the house of Yehudah, and save them by Yahuwah their all, and not save them by bow, or by sword, or battle, by horses or horsemen. And she weaned Lo Rukamah, and conceived and bore a son. Then he said, call his name Lo-Ammi, for you are not my people, and I am not for you. Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which is not measured nor counted. And it shall be in the place where it was said to them, you are not my people. They shall be called, you are the sons of the living all. And the children of Yehudah and the children of Yisrael shall be gathered together, and appoint for themselves one head, and shall come up out of the earth, for great is the day of Yisrael. Say to your brothers, O my people, and to your sisters, compassionate one, strive with your mother, strive, for she is not my Asha, nor am I her husband. Let her put away her whorings from her face, and her adulteries from between her breasts, lest I strip her naked, and shall set her up on the day she was born, and shall make her like a wilderness, and shall set her like a dry land, and shall put her to death with thirst. And I shall not have compassion on her children, for they are the children of whoring. For their mother has whored, she who conceived them has acted shamelessly. For she said, I go after my lovers, who give me my bread and my water, my wool and my linen, my oil and my drink. Therefore, see, I am hedging up your way with thorns, and I shall wall her in, so that she does not find her paths. And she shall pursue her lovers, but not overtake them, and shall seek them, but not find them. Then she shall say, let me go and return to my first husband, for then it was better for me than now. And she did not acknowledge. Isn't that so true, though? Isn't that so true? I've heard that a million times. And she did not acknowledge that I gave her grain, and her new wine, and oil, and increased her silver and gold, which they prepared for Baal. Therefore I shall turn back, and shall take my grain in its time, and my new wine in its season, and I shall take away my wool and my linen, covering her nakedness. Unbelievable. So in other words, the first husband, he's giving her all this stuff, and she's taking all the stuff that her first husband's given her, and behind his back giving it to her lover, Baal. Crazy, man. And now I shall uncover her shame before the eyes of her lovers, and no one shall deliver her from my hand. And I shall cause all her rejoicing, her festivals, her new moons, and her Sabbaths, even all her appointed times, to cease, and lay waste her vines and her fig trees, and which she has said, these are my rewards that my lovers have given me. And I shall make them a forest, and the beast of the field shall eat them. And I shall punish her for the days of the Balaam, to which she burnt incense and adorned herself with rings and jewelry, and went after her lovers and forgot me, declares Yahuwah. Therefore, see, I am alluring her, and shall lead her into the wilderness, and shall speak to her heart, and give to her vineyards from there, and the valley of Achor as a door of hope. And there she shall respond as in the day of her youth, as in the day when she came up from the land of Egypt. And it shall be in that day, declares Yahuwah, that you call me my husband, and no longer call me my Baal. And I shall remove the names of the Balaam from her mouth, and they shall no more be remembered by their name. So she's going to forget about all her lovers. She's going to just concentrate on Yahuwah, her husband. And in that day I shall make a covenant for them with the beasts of the field, and with the birds of the Shemayim, and with the creeping creatures of the ground, when bow and sword and battle I break from the earth. And I shall make them lie down in safety, and I shall take you as a bride to me forever, and take you as a bride to me in righteousness, and in right ruling, and kindness, and compassion. And I shall take you as a bride to me in trustworthiness, and you shall know YAHUAH. And it shall be in that day that I answer, declares YAHUAH, that I answer the Shemayim, and they answer the earth. And the earth answer the grain, and the new wine, and the oil, and they answer Yezreel. And I shall sow her for myself in the earth, and I shall have compassion on her who had not obtained compassion. And I shall say to those who were not my people, you are my people, while they say, my all, my all. Then YAHUAH said to me, go again, love a woman loved by a friend, and an adulteress, according to the love of YAHUAH for the children of Israel, though they are turning to other mighty ones and love their raisin cakes. The raisin cakes. So I bought her for myself for 15 pieces of silver, and 1 1/2 comers of barley. And I said to her, you are to remain with me many days. You are not to whore, nor become any man's, and so I shall also be towards you. For many days the children of Israel are to remain without sovereign, and without prince, and without slaughtering, and without pillar, and without shoulder garment or house idols. Afterward the children of Israel shall return, and seek YAHUAH their all, and dude their sovereign, and fear YAHUAH and his goodness in the latter days. In the latter days. My people have perished for lack of knowledge. Because you have rejected knowledge, I reject you from being priest for me. Since you have forgotten the Torah of your all, I also forget your children. Wow. Get a chance, read that book of Hosea in context. It's very powerful. Jump to chapter 13, verse 14, Hosea. From the power of the grave I ransom them, from death I redeem them. Where is your plague, O death? Where is your destruction, O grave? Repentance is hidden from my eyes, though he bears fruit among his brothers. An east wind comes, a wind from YAHUAH, comes up from the wilderness, and it dries up his fountain, and his spring becomes dry. It plunders a treasure of all desirable objects. Samaritan is held guilty, for she has rebelled against her all. They fall by the sword, their infants are dashed in pieces, and their pregnant women ripped open. Wow. 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 Okay, so where are we at in this love story, the greatest love story ever told? Well, the book of Hosea basically tells the whole story in a very short story format, you know. So if you read it, you'll get a very good idea about how the husband is feeling, what's going on with the husband, okay, and how what's his perspective on all of this, okay. And very powerful stuff. Let's read another poem, okay, between Yahuwah and his beloved Israel. Then I'm going to take a break and we'll come back to it, okay? I am the rose of Sharon. I am the rose of Sharon, the lily of the valleys. Like a lily among thorns, so is my love among the daughters. Like an apple tree among the trees of the forest, so is my beloved among the sons. I delighted in his shade and sat down, and his fruit was sweet in my taste. He brought me to the house of wine, and his banner over me was love. Strengthen me with raisin cakes, refresh me with apples, for I am faint with love. His left hand is under my head, and his right hand embraces me. I have put you under oath, daughters of Jerusalem, by the gazelles or by the does of the field. Do not stir up nor awaken love until it pleases. The voice of my beloved. See, he is coming, leaping on the mountains, skipping on the hills. My beloved is like a gazelle or like a young stag. See, he is standing behind our wall, looking through the windows, peering through the lattice. My beloved responded and said to me, Rise up, my love, my fair one, and come away. For look, the winter is past, the rain is over, gone. The flowers have appeared in the earth, the time of singing has come, and the voice of the turtle dove has been heard in our land. The fig tree has ripened her figs, the vines with the tender grapes have given a good fragrance. Rise up, my love, my fair one, and come away. O my dove, in the cliffs of the rock, in the covering of the cliff, let me see your appearance, let me hear your voice. For your voice is sweet, and your appearance is lovely. Catch the foxes for us, the little foxes that spoil the vines, and our vines are all blossom. My beloved is mine, and I am his. He feeds his flock among the lilies until the day breaks and the shadows have fled. Turn, my beloved, and be like a gazelle or a young stag on the mountains of Bether. Ooh, lovey dovey. Lovey dovey dovey. Love, love, love. And more love. Be right back and we'll talk more about love between a husband and his bride, Yisrael. Hello, I'm back now. Let's continue with the greatest love story ever told. So, from cover to cover in scriptures, this is a great, great, great love story, okay? And it's spiritual. So really you have to be in the mind of the Spirit in order to understand and grasp what's going on here and see the overall picture, the big picture, okay? And amazingly, he uses the example of a husband and his wife and his children as an example to what's going on. So he relates to us on our level in a way we can understand this, okay? But it's spiritual, so you have to be in the spiritual mind where you won't understand it, okay? But you'll get some of it, but you're not going to get the big picture. So hopefully everybody's in the walking in the spirit and the truth right now. and we're all open-minded, and we are good. We are being receivers. Okay, we're receiving this information through the spiritual realm, through the spirit and the truth, coming from our Rabbi Yahushua. So let's continue on with this lesson, which is very, very powerful. Once you understand what's going on here, maybe you'll turn and run back home to your husband, where he's waiting for you with open arms. All right. So let's get into the Nazarene writings now, and in the Nazarene writings, things shift slightly to where you have to understand that Yahusha is Yahuwah incarnated. He has revealed him. The husband has now came and revealed himself, shown himself to the bride. Okay, so they can see their husband. All right, and he has come to save his bride from an unclean, destructive lifestyle that leads to death and despair and to death and annihilation, you know. So got to kind of get that, and then we move into the Nazarene writings, and the shift will be that the bride is still the lost bride, the runaway bride, Israel, been scattered throughout the planet and is running away, whoring after other lovers. And so the husband comes searching for his bride in the form of a man now, okay, which would be Yahusha, who is the husband, okay. Of course, like I said, you have to understand that Yahusha is Yahuwah incarnated. So the love story continues, okay. It reaches a climax, and there is a happy ending where they live happily ever after, but we'll get to that. But right now, let's pick up in about the middle of the love story here, okay? And so the bride who was hidden in a field long ago, okay, is in a parable. Now, the love parables, within the love parable, when it says field, that the bride was hidden in a field long ago, the field is the world. Okay, so the bride was scattered and is out living among the world, hiding in the field, okay, committing whoring with other lovers. All right, that's what's going on now. As a result of disobedience, the bride, which is Yezreel, or Yahuwah's wife, was scattered thoroughly among the nations, driven from the land or from the home by the husband. And she was caught whoring. Okay. Oh, don't forget, in Scripture, the husband can divorce the wife, but that just means they live apart. He doesn't have to live with her. He still ain't allowed to go whoring, chasing other women, or remarry another wife, and the wife ain't allowed to either. Okay? And the only thing they can do is live apart by themselves, or they're allowed to come back together and reconcile. All right? And death does break the covenant. You know, it does relieve them of their obligations through the marriage covenant by death only. Okay, that divorce decree or certificate only permits them to live apart. All right. So anyway, this was the curse, and it remains in effect. The parable at Matthew 13:44 speaks of a treasure which was lost, or lost Israel, the bride, found by a man. Of course, Yahusha is the man or the pursuer of his bride. It's Yahuwah, who bought the field and paid the ultimate price, which was blood, his blood. You can only purchase her with his blood, the field with his blood, which the field is the world. The bride is now his property because she's part of the world or part of the field. The bride is now his property, but she remains hidden, like Joseph in Egypt. Yahusha will one day reveal himself to his brothers, to all the scattered tribes of Israel. The first work of Yahusha involved atonement, but the second work is redemption. He is set to seek and deliver that which was lost, and will unite the house of Yehudah, which is the ruling tribe, and the house of Israel, or also called Ephraim, is the firstborn, or the blessing tribe, the blessings of the firstborn, and he will unite them into one stick. The bride will be revealed on the day of redemption. So when we decide to go home and back to our husband, and we receive his spirit, we go back to him, and we're back united with him through the indwelling spirit of Yahusha, then we are sealed by the Ruach for the day of redemption till he comes back for his bride. Okay, he's already bought the field. For your maker is your husband. Yahuwah of hosts is his name, and the set apart one of Israel is your redeemer. He is called the all of all the earth. So Yahusha has chosen his bride, but he has not yet taken possession of her. The wedding supper is still ahead of us at the future festival of Sukkot. The harvest festival we are to observe for 7 days in the fall. All right. So let's pick up in Netzarim writings in John 3:27 says, Yehukanan answered and said, no man is able to receive anything unless it is given to him from the heaven. You yourselves are witnesses for me that I said, I am not the Mashiach, but I am sent ahead of him. This is John the Baptist, obviously speaking. He that has the bride is the bridegroom. So he's saying, I'm not the bridegroom, man. I don't have the bride. But the friend of the bridegroom, who stands and hears him, rejoices greatly because of the voice of the bridegroom. So this joy of mine is complete. It is right for him to increase, but me to decrease. He who comes from above is over all. He who is from the earth is of the earth and speaks of the earth. He who comes from the heaven is over all, and what he has seen and heard that he witnesses, and no one receives his witness. And who receives his witness has set his seal that Elohim is true. For he who all has sent speaks the words of all, for all does not give the Ruach by measure. The Father loves the Son, and has given all into his hand. He who believes in the Son possesses everlasting life, but he who does not obey the Son shall not see life, but the wrath of Yahuwah remains on him. All right. So, find out here then that Yahusha is the bridegroom. And he has a bride, which is the scattered, runaway bride, Israel. She's still on the run. She's still out whoring. He hasn't come home yet. So let's go to Romans 7. Romans 7, verse 1. Or do you not know, brothers, for I speak to those knowing the Torah, that the Torah rules over a man as long as he lives. For the married woman has been bound by Torah to the living husband. But if her husband dies, she is released from the Torah concerning her husband. The instructions, that law concerning marriage between a woman and a man. She's released from that, not the entire Torah, just that section. So then, while her husband lives, she shall be called an adulteress if she becomes another man's. But if her husband dies, she is free from that part of the Torah, so that she is not an adulteress, have become another man's. So, see, she's free to go remarry. Okay, she ain't free to go commit fornication. She's just free to go marry and be another man's wife if her first husband dies. All right, and just kind of keep that in mind when you think about Yahusha's death. Did not release the bride and him? Yes, it did. Yes, it did. So, my brothers, you also were put to death to the Torah through the body of Mashiach. There you go. So since he died, the Mashiach died, the bride was released from the Torah. That passage, that section of the Torah, that when they married. So, I mean, even though they were divorced, they weren't allowed to go whoring. Okay, they were only allowed to live apart. For you to become another's, the one who was raised from the dead, that we should bear fruit to Yahuwah. Very interesting. Boy, is that a powerful spiritual passage right there, man. You really got to open your mind up to get that. Look, my brothers, you were put to death to the Torah, the part that refers to a man and woman's relationship, through the body of the Mashiach, because he died. The husband died. They're both released from the covenant now. For you to become another's. So for you to become another's, the husband died, basically. The one who was raised from the dead. You become another one's the one who was raised from the dead, which is Yahusha. That we should bear fruit to Yahuwah. You marry your husband, and then you bear fruit. When you bring other people into the covenant, you're bearing fruit. That's more children coming from the marriage. See that? Children are fruit. For when we were living in the mind of the flesh, the passions of sins through the Torah were working in our bodies to bear fruit to death. Wow. You're just doing it for sex, in other words. That's, that the working of the bodies to bear fruit to death. You're just doing it for sexual pleasures. You weren't doing it to bear children for the kingdom of Yahuwah, bringing other people into the covenant, in other words. But now we have been released from the Torah. That is the part that prescribed the penalty and incurred the debt of death to be paid, having died to what we were held by, so that we should serve in newness of Ruach and not in oldness of letter. We live in the mind of the Ruach HaKodesh now. So this is very powerful too. Now get this. We now have been released from the Torah, which is sin and death. That's the part of the Torah speaking of sin and death. Okay? The penalty for our rebelliousness, our trespasses, okay, our lawlessness, our whoring is death. Okay? Death. So we are released. That is the part that prescribes the penalty and incurred the debt of death to be paid. Okay? having died to what we were held by. So we were married to sin and death. We were married to that part of the Torah because we were prescribed. We were prescribed the penalty occurred by that debt of the Torah, which was death. So we were married to sin and death. Okay, but because Yahushua died, he paid that debt for us, and we're no longer married to sin and death. So that we should serve the newness of Ruach and not in oldness of letter. So now we can remarry the Ruach, be the Ruach's bride, and unto everlasting life when we're married to the Ruach. See that? Powerful, spiritual. Man, that is so heavy duty, man. Think about that. What then shall we say? Is the Torah sin? Let it not be. Moreover, I did not know sin except through the Torah. Paul, man, he's just, too bad he didn't just clear things up a little bit. I mean, he's too pinpointed. It's too hard to get it if you're in the mind of the flesh. You can't understand that. There's just no way. It's got to be spiritual minded. You have to be walking in spirit and the truth to get that. You have to. For also the covetousness I knew not, if the Torah had not said, you shall not covet. But sin, having taken the occasion through the command, did work in me all sorts of covetousness. For apart from Torah, sin is dead. And I was alive apart from the Torah once, but when the command came, the sin revived and I died. Wow. Crazy, man. Unbelievable stuff. All right, let's jump over to Romans. Wait a minute. Let's go over to 2 Corinthians and 11. And it says, I wish that you would bear with me a little folly. But indeed you are bearing with me. For I am jealous for you with a jealousy according to YAHUAH. Now, this is Paul talking. For I gave you in marriage to one husband, to present you as an innocent maiden to Mashiach. But I am afraid, lest as the serpent deceived Chua by his trickery, so your mind should be corrupted from the simplicity that is in Mashiach. For indeed, if he who is coming proclaims another Yahusha, whom we have not proclaimed, or if you receive a different Ruach which you have not received, or a different Besorah which you have not accepted, you put up with it well enough. For I reckon that I am not inferior to the most eminent emissaries. But even if I am unskilled in speaking, yet not knowledge, but not knowledge. Indeed, in every way, but even if I am unskilled in speaking, yet not knowledge. Indeed, in every way we have been manifested among you in all things. Or did I commit sin in humbling myself in order to exalt you? Because I brought Besorah, the Besorah of YAHUAH to you without being paid. Other assemblies I robbed by receiving wages from them to serve you. And when I was present with you, and indeed I was not a burden to anyone, for what was lacking to me the brothers who came from Macedonia supplied. And in every way I kept myself, and shall keep from being a burden to you. It is truth of Mashiach in me, that this boasting in me shall not be stopped in the districts of Achaia. Why? Is it that I do not love you? Yahuwah knows. And I shall go on doing as I do, in order to cut off the occasion from those desiring an occasion, so that in that which they boast they might be found also as we are. For such are false emissaries, deceptive workers, masquerading as emissaries of Mashiach. And no wonder, for Satan himself masquerades as a messenger of light. It is not surprising, then, if his servants also masquerade as servants of righteousness, whose end shall be according to their works. It's all about being reconciled back to Yahuwah. Go back home to your husband. Stop your whoring. Okay? That's what it's all about, really. It really is. That's what's going on here. Let's jump on down here to chapter 12. Well, we better get going a little. Let's go a little bit deeper into it. Don't want this to get too long, although it's extremely important. Okay, so go to Ephesians. Ephesians 4:30 says, "And do not grieve the Ruach HaKodesh of Yahuwah." See, the Ruach HaKodesh is Yahuwah, man, the Spirit of Yahuwah, by whom you were sealed for the day of redemption. See that? So he seals you for the day of redemption. He already bought the field. He owns the world. He's finding his bride out in the field. He's looking for his treasured possession hidden in the field, in the world. And when he finds you, and he seals you for the day of redemption with his Ruach. He's coming back to redeem you. He's already bought you with his blood. He paid for you with his own blood. The Ruach did. That's in Acts 20:28. Okay, we are purchased with the blood of the Ruach HaKodesh. It says he purchased us with his own blood. Acts 20:28. Okay, so go to Ephesians 5 and verse 13. "But all things being exposed are manifested by the light. For whatever is manifested is light. That is why he says, 'Wake up, you who sleep, and arise from the dead, and Mashiach shall shine on you.'" So if you're a walking dead zombie, wake up. Smell the roses. "See then that you walk exactly, not as unwise, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are wicked. So then, do not be foolish, but understand what the desire of Yahuwah is. And do not be drunk with wine, in which is loose behavior, but be filled with the Ruach, speaking to each other in psalms and songs of praise and Ruach-like songs, singing and striking the strings in your heart to the Master." Read Songs of Songs, the Song of Songs. Read that. You'll be saying poems and singing Ruach-like songs and striking in strings in your heart to the Master, because those are love poems. Get it? You'll be saying love poems to your husband. Say them out loud. "Giving thanks always for all to Yahuwah the Father, in the name of our Master Yahushua Mashiach, subjecting yourselves to each other in the fear of Yahuwah." Wives, now, this is going to sound like a fleshly, worldly, literal sense, but this is spiritual. This is actually a secret. This is actually a hidden secret in this passage that is really speaks of concerning the Mashiach and his bride, the husband and his bride, the Mashiach in the assembly. That's what it's really talking about. So kind of, as we read through this, kind of think of this not literally, but between the Yahusha being the husband, the Mashiach, and the assembly being the bride, the body. Okay? Try to think of that as we read through here, because really what it really is. Wives, subject yourselves to your own husband as to the master. See? As to the master. Because the husband is head of the woman. Also, the Mashiach is head of the assembly. See the comparison? And he is deliverer of the body. He is the deliverer of the body. But as the assembly is subject to Mashiach, so also let the wives be to their own husbands in every respect. Husbands, love your wives, as Mashiach also did love the assembly and gave himself for it, in order to set it apart and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word. Wow. In order to present it to himself a splendid assembly, not having spot or wrinkle or any of the sort, but that it might be set apart and blameless. If you go over and read Revelations, I think it's 19:7, I think it is, you're going to hear that same exact thing speaking about the bride of Yahusha. Okay, this is what this is about. You got to open up your mind and think with your spiritual mind, okay, to get all this. In this way, husbands ought to love their own wives as their own bodies. He who loves his Asha loves himself. For no one ever hated his own flesh, but feeds and cherishes it, as also the master does the assembly. Because we are members of his body, of his flesh, and of his bones. You getting that? Because we are members of his body, of his flesh, and of his bones. For this cause a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to the Asha, and the two shall become one flesh. This secret is great. This secret is great. But I speak concerning Mashiach and the assembly. It's what that the whole thing is about right there. Spiritual. That's why you can't understand scriptures unless you're walking in the spirit and the truth, man. However, you too, everyone, let each one love his own Asha as himself, and let the Asha see that she respects her husband. He's saying, however, if you don't get it, if you're unable to understand the spiritual meaning here, however, you too, everyone, each one of you, his own Asha, love his Asha as himself, and let the Asha see she respects her husband. So if you're not getting it in spiritual, what I'm talking about here, that this is all about the Messiah and or Yahuwah and his bride Israel, then at least love your wife and respect your husbands. Okay, let's go on. You're just saying that to people that aren't catching the spiritual reality or spiritual meaning behind what he was saying there. That's why he said that last sentence in there. Okay. What a love story this is, really. What a love story. So anyhow, if we get over to, interesting. Anyway, jump over there to Revelations and 19 and verse 6. Revelations 19, verse 6. It says, "And I heard as the voice of a great throng, as the sound of many waters, and as the sound of mighty thunder, saying, Hallelujah! Hallelujah! For Yahuwah El Shaddai reigns. Let us be glad and rejoice and give him praise. For the marriage of the Lamb has come, and his Asha prepared herself." See that? Where did we just read that at? "And to her it was given to be dressed in fine linen, clean and bright, for the fine linen is the righteousness of the Kadeshim. And he said to me, right, blessed are those who have been called to the marriage supper of the Lamb. And he said to me, these are the true words of YAHUAH. Wow, huh? Okay, so if we go to, well, let's see, 21, Revelations 21, verse 2. And I, Yahuchanan, saw the set-apart city, the renewed Jerusalem, coming down out of the heaven from Yahuwah, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. Wow, huh? Hey, let's go over to Revelations 22. It says, verse 17, and the Ruach, which is Yahuwah, the Ruach and the bride, Yisrael. The Ruach, Yahuwah, and the bride, Israel, say, come. And he who comes, let him say, come. And he who thirsts, come. And he who desires it, take the water of life without pain. Very interesting, huh? Okay, so go to Isaiah 54. Isaiah 54, verse 4. Do not fear, for you shall not be put to shame, nor hurt. You shall not be humbled, for the shame of your youth you shall forget. Shame of your youth you shall forget, all that whoring you were doing. And not remember the reproach of your widowhood anymore. For your Maker is your husband. For your Maker is your husband. Yahuwah Sabaoth is his name. Yahuwah Sabaoth is his name. And the set apart one of Yisrael is your Redeemer. And the set apart one of Yisrael is your Redeemer. That's who's coming to redeem you, Yahuwah. Your husband, your Maker, is your husband. He's coming to redeem you. He's your Redeemer. He is called the all of all the earth. For Yahuwah has called you like a woman, forsaken and grieved in spirit, like an Asha of youth when you were refused, declares your all. For a little while I have forsaken you, but with great compassion I shall gather you. In an overflow of wrath I hid my face from you for a moment, but with everlasting kindness I shall have compassion on you, said Yahuwah, your Redeemer. Your Redeemer, the one's coming back for you. He paid for you. He's coming back to redeem his property, which is his bride, Yisrael. See that? Powerful stuff. Powerful. Very, very powerful stuff. All right. Let's go back to the Song of Songs. What a love story. What a love story. Let's go back to the Song of Songs. Chapter 6. Where has your beloved gone? Fairest among women. Where has your beloved turned aside? Let us seek him with you. My beloved went down to his garden, to the beds of spices, to feed his flock in the gardens, and to gather lilies. I am my beloved. I am my beloved's, and my beloved's is mine. He feeds his flock among the lilies. My love, you are as fair as Tirzah, lovingly as Jerusalem, awesome as an army with banners. Turn your eyes away from me, because they overcome me. Your hair is like a flock of goats that have hopped down from Gilead. Your teeth are like a flock of sheep. They have come up from the washing. All of them bear twins, and not one among them has lost her young. Your cheeks behind your veil are like a piece of pomegranate. There are 60 sovereignesses and 80 concubines and innumerable maidens. My dove, my perfect one, is the only one of her mother, the choice of the one who bore her. The daughter saw and called her blessed. Sovereignesses and concubines, and they praised her. Who is she who shines forth as the morning, fair as the moon, clear as the sun, awesome as an army with banners? I went down to the garden of nuts to see the budding of the wadi, to see whether the vine had budded and the pomegranates had blossomed. Are you catching all this? I did not know. My desire made me as the chariots of my noble people. Return, return, O Shulamith. Return, return, and let us look upon you. Why should you look upon the Shulamith as it were the dance of two armies? There we go. There you go. The greatest love story ever told. The scriptures. Cover to cover. So here we go. We got a husband, his bride. They have a falling out. She goes a whoring, runs around cheating on him with a bunch of other lovers. He gets mad, throws her out, runs her off. She goes a whoring even more, goes even more nuts, starts going crazy, destroying herself. He calls her back. And she deceives him, pretends like she's loving him, doing everything she's supposed to do. But in reality, she's cheating on him behind his back. And he knows it. And then he ends up finally divorcing her. So now they're living apart, divorced, certificate of divorce. And she's still a whoring. And eventually, the husband dies. She's betrothed and remarries the same husband who rose himself from the dead, basically. She marries him, and although he bought her with his blood, paid for her with his own blood, and betrothed her, he hasn't came and claimed her yet. And she awaits the arrival of the bridegroom to come and claim her, redeem her, and take her home with him. And in the meantime, she's cleaning herself up and staying good and faithful and trustworthy and obedient to her vows, and waiting upon her husband to return. And she's keeping her lamps full of oil and trimmed because she doesn't know the day or the hour that her husband will return to get her. He could get her early or late or daytime or at nighttime. She don't know. So she has to be prepared, prepare herself and be ready for the return of her husband, so she can run to him when he shows up to get her and take her home. And eventually he does. He does come back and redeem her and takes her home to the place he's prepared for her, and they live happily ever after. Ever after. And that part is real. Ever. Eternal. Eternal marriage. They live happily ever after. Amen. And that's the great love story, folks. It's all about love. It really and truly is. Love, 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 love. Lovey dovey dovey. Love, love, love. More love. Scriptures is all about love. That's what it is. It's a love story. Greatest love story ever told. It's about a husband who pursues his runaway bride and calls her and searches for her to come home. That's what it means. Repent, for the kingdom, the reign of Yahuwah comes near. That's what that's saying. Come home. Come home. Where are you? Where are you, my beloved? Come home. Come back. I love you. Come back. Stop whoring. I'll forgive you. I won't remember your trespasses. I won't remember your sins. I won't remember your whoring no more, I promise. Come back home to me, my beloved. That's what it's all about, man. Love. So, repent, for the reign of Yahuwah comes near. Your husband's calling you home. Stop your whoring and go home to your husband. Clean yourself up. Prepare yourself for his redemption when he comes to redeem you, bring you home. You live happily ever after in paradise. Thank you for watching, folks. Now remember to stay in love with Yahusha. So long, Nazarene, beloved of Yahuwah. Bonus feature time. Your maker is your husband, and he wrote you a love poem. And it's called Song of Songs, chapter 7. Let's read the love poem written to the bride of Yahusha by Yahuwah, the husband to the bride. How fair are your feet in sandals, daughter of a noble. The curves of your thighs are like art, the work of a craftsman's hands. Your navel is a rounded bowl. Let it not lack mixed wine. Your body is a heap of wheat, hedged among or hedged about with lilies. Your two breasts are like two fawns, twins of a gazelle. Your neck is like an ivory tower. Your eyes pools in Kishbon by the gate of Beth Rabbim. Your nose is like the tower of Lebanon, looking to Damascus. Your head upon you is like Mount Carmel, and the hair of your head like purple. The sovereign is held captive by the ringlets. How fair and how pleasant you are, love and delights. This stature of yours compares to a palm tree, and your breasts to clusters. I said, let me go up to the palm tree, let me take hold of its tips. And please let your breasts be like clusters of the vine, and the fragrance of your breath like apples, and your palate like the best wine, going down smoothly for my beloved, flowing gently, slumbering lips. I am my beloved's, and his desire is toward me. Come, my beloved, let us go forth to the field. Let us stay in the villages. Let us get up early to the vineyards. Let us see whether the vine has budded, the great blossoms have opened, the pomegranates have bloomed. There I give you my loves. The mandrakes have been given fragrance, and at our gates are all pleasant fruit, new and old, which I have laid up for you, my beloved. Woo! Any doubt in your mind? This is the greatest love story ever written. Your maker is your husband. His name is Yahuwah of hosts, and he loves you with an everlasting love. So long, folks. And remember to stay in love with Yahuwah.
Baruch haba b'Shem Yahuwah. Yahusha, living water. Baruch haba b'Shem Yahuwah. I sing out with praise to you. Your name is beautiful to me, my King. I sing out with praise to you. My heart desires to honor you, my Yah. I sing out with praise to you, Yahusha. Living Torah, Baruch haba b'Shem Yahuwah. Yahusha, living Torah, Baruch haba b'Shem Yahuwah. I sing out with praise to you. Your name is beautiful to me, my King. I sing out with praise to you. My heart desires to honor you, my Yah. I sing out with praise to you, Yahusha. Living Torah, Baruch haba b'Shem Yahuwah. Baruch haba B'Shem Yahuwah. Baruch haba B'Shem